I went to Yale University. I was invited to speak there. The audience was big. The discussion was good. There were exchanges of views and so on and so forth. Later on, I read something written by somebody, I think, who works and maybe lives at Yale, a well-educated person, maybe a very good student, or supposedly so, of history. But later on I saw something written online talking about my presentation at Yale. But what was said in this piece could not be further from the truth of what I actually said. For that person, I summarized what I said by saying, I talked about the history of Rwanda, the context, and everything. And for him, he chose to summarize it by saying, Rwanda's President Paul Kagame told the audience, and through his speech was telling the rest of the world that they should mind their own business, that they have nothing to do with the affairs of Rwanda. Apart from that not being correct, I didn't see anything close to that. But when I kept examining it, I actually said, maybe I should have said it. What's actually wrong with telling people to mind their own business? I think we should all be minding our own business. So, and in fact, it is something that I was reminded of, because minding other people's business, their own business, may be in itself a very bad culture. Or if you want to do that, why don't you do it? Why don't you have a conversation with the people for whom it is their business? And then they will welcome you. And you can be part of minding their business. But I could see where this person is coming from. And it is part of the problem we are seeing across the world. People ignoring that, or some people ignoring that others based on their culture, on their history, on their contexts, on their values. They are people who actually want to mind their own business. So what I forgot to tell you that was important when I was answering this leader and a good friend of mine saying, you know, I told him, I said, with this kind of suffering people have had, or the kind of pressures from outside and the beating and everything, I gave him an example of, do people know there is a plant, this plant called sisal, you know, sisal, from which you get is a fiber that forms very tough strings, and tough ropes are made out of that. It's a plant, sisal, S-I-S-A-L. It's grown a lot in some African countries, mainly Tanzania and so on. I said, Rwandans, based on our culture and the desire to fight for our dignity, the analogy would be like, you know, sisal. Sisal, before you get very tough ropes out of that, it is crushed and heat and beaten, and every beating, you get these very strong, very tough ropes come out of it. So the more and the harder you beat Rwanda, you get these what comes out is these people who really want to give it back to you, who want to push back, who want to say, wait a minute, let's have a discussion, or else it's going to be hard to just bow to you because it's not where we belong.